Alrighty, guys, we are live. Not quite sure where to begin or how to unfold this story, so sometimes you just got to hit that go live button. Alrighty. So, some of you who have been following my channel, especially True Crime in the Morning, are familiar with the case of Benjamin Anderson. Now, this is a very strange case. There's a whole lot more to it, and I can feel it. That's why it has my attention. Reminded me a whole lot of the Ray Hainish case, which involved Garrett Kurtz catfishing a gay man and the promises of a date or sex, only to rob them, possibly even rape them, torture, um, take advantage of their home and their vehicles and things like that. Well, what really got my attention with Ben's case is that recently law enforcement said that they had some suspects. You don't say you have suspects unless you have something tying to, evidence tying to them. And why would you call them suspects and yet you haven't made an arrest? So, the gears in my brain just started turning, and I said, well, maybe their suspects are already arrested. People that were seen in Ben's car driving around shortly after he disappeared were young males. So I thought, well, I don't think we're dealing with one individual. We might be dealing with a group. I thought maybe a group of homeless people, some drug addicts, because that does happen. They'll commit a murder, maybe a robbery, take the vehicle, and then abandon it or hand it over to somebody for a small amount of drugs. Rent out the vehicle with them unaware that it was stolen. So eventually they found Ben's body burned in the desert. He was tortured. He was wearing fishnet stockings. Whoever it was dumped him in the desert, poured gasoline on his head, and lit him on fire. Took him 3 days to identify the body. So if anybody's keeping up with my channel, you know that I'm going out to do a story on Ben's case. We're going to go out. We're going to take the drone. We're going to set up multiple cameras. And we're going to tell the story the best that we know how. Ben was supposed to meet his friend, his best friend, Daniel, but said, hey, I got to break those arrangements with you. I made other plans. Well, it appears that somebody may have lured Ben out in the hopes of, setting up a date. I believe it was New Year's. But instead, he was murdered, not necessarily robbed. So I thought that was strange. So who commits murders without wanting any material items like money, cash, things like that? None of that was taken. Usually serial killers do it because they can't control themselves. They have an urge, something in their psyche, in their psychopathy is driving them to do this. And other killers do it for notoriety, such as gang members, right? They'll commit a murder, take a photo of it, say, hey, look, I'm a killer. I belong in the gang. So I started doing some digging. And lo and behold, I did find a pattern here. At least 2 other murders that are identical to Ben's and a 4th that is similar. All within the same area. So they tracked Ben's Lexus to a Super 8 motel. When law enforcement went there was no signs of the vehicle. After some time had passed, Daniel and 2 other of Ben's friends took it upon themselves to go looking for the vehicle If they tracked it to a nearby Super 8, they went and kind of checked all of the hotels along this stretch of highway right here. And while driving in the Sheraton garage, there was a group of young men, and I think even accompanied by a female, who were standing near Ben's vehicle, which was backed into the parking spot to conceal the license plate. And immediately Daniel said, "That's his car. That's Ben's car." But this young group of people, most likely his killers, right? Well, they tracked the vehicle and they kind of were following it around. And eventually, I think the car took off down this road here going against traffic. And it became dangerous at that point. So they were going against traffic to escape from Daniel and Ben's friends. Law enforcement was alerted. And it was right around that same time that law enforcement had discovered a burning body in the desert. They didn't know it was Ben yet. But even though they were trying to track Ben's car, he had already been discovered out here in the desert. Looks like I didn't put a marker on it, but I believe it is right out here somewhere. And I'll find. I have it. I have the location somewhere. But it's basically where these city folks come out and they go shooting. They go shoot their guns. So when law enforcement and FBI agents are asking why a location or why this and why that, it's because it's familiar to the killers. The reason it's there is because it's familiar. Okay. So today we're going to talk about 3 other cases that are very similar to what happened with Ben. One being Jake Kelly, who was beaten to death. He's a gay man. He was beaten to death, and his killer apparently took photographs of him while he was gasping for help. And then we're going to look at the case of Bernardo Pantaleon. His body was discovered on a trail outside of a park. He was beaten and mutilated beyond recognition. And all of these men are very flamboyant. They don't try to hide who they are. They're not closeted or anything. They're very outgoing, friendly. In most cases, they're referred to as the life of the party. Another case is Osvaldo Hernandez Castillo. Same thing. Beaten, mutilated, and documented. Now, the suspects in these 2 crimes are gang members. They're from a North Side gang that operates right here in this area. Bunch of young kids. At the time of Ben's murder, now I want you to see these markers here. Osvaldo Hernandez Castillo was found here. And look where Ben's car was found burned. This is where they found his car burning. Right here in this parking spot. 3 away from the dumpster. His car was on fire. Now, something tells me they walked right through here and went home. And we said that during my live stream is the reason they found the car here is because this is an anchor point. And there's the Sheraton garage where the folks were located with Ben's car. And here's where Osvaldo's body was discovered. Beaten and mutilated. Just like Ben and just like Bernardo. So when law enforcement tells us that they have suspects in Ben's case, but yet there's no arrests, well, it's because they're already in jail. So they're going to go ahead and do their best to tie those Ben's murder to those suspects. Same MO, same exact MO. Catfished, lured away, murdered, tortured and murdered, and then dumped. So this weekend, we're going out. We're going to do some filming for Ben's case. We'll be on scene near his home, doing some reporting there. His last job site. We'll stop by the Super 8 Motel. Everything's going to be on scene. Going to have multiple cameras, including the drone. We're going to make our way to the Sheraton garage, the location where Ben's car was burned. I'm reaching out to Ben's best friend, Daniel, for comment. So hopefully we can get together with Daniel and he can tell us a little bit about Ben and what kind of a person he was. He misses him dearly, that much I can tell you. And then we'll make our way out here to this desert. Where the body was discovered. So while looking into Ben's case and what might have happened to him, I think I now know what happened to Ben. This was a gang initiation. This is a gang that is targeting gays in the north side of Phoenix, saying that, they own the north side and that there's no room for homosexuality in the north side. And this gang is basically mostly in this area here, according to local law enforcement and their gang maps. So we will get into this in just a few. Let me check in with the chat, make sure you guys are all doing okay. What's up, Dan? Good to see you. V. Marie, how are you? Cindy, Boston, CJK. All right, let me see where I want to start this. Good to see you, Cindy. Hiawatha, yes, I remember reading they had suspects, but we're waiting on digital info. Yeah, I think their suspects are incarcerated now, and they just need them to confess. It's the exact same MO. Good to see you, CJK. Don, what's up, Don? Good to see you. Hiawatha, Pitbull Mom. Edward, are there any Google Maps with pins of active cases? Just the ones that I've kind of mentioned. Here's another view here. I mean, look at that cluster. All four of those are markers of gay men that were beaten and brutalized, and it was documented. And the only reason that that case, Jake Kelly, was included, it doesn't seem to be gang activity. This is a Latin gang we're referring to. The person who beat him was Hispanic. So I don't know if he's connected to the gang. But what caught my attention was the area and the fact that he felt the need to take photographs of his beaten body. There's only one reason to do that, and that's so that you can show people what you've done. Yep. And it happens more often than we think. And with each one of these individual cases, law enforcement said, "Oh, we don't see a pattern or this is an isolated incident." Bullshit. I can tell you that right now. Gang initiation, serial murder, and hate crimes all balled into one with today's live stream. Thanks, Dan. I just hoped somebody would do the same for me if anything bad happened. Yep. We're looking at a gang of a serial killer gang out of North Phoenix targeting gay men. Thank you, V. Yeah, I'll try, Cindy. All I can do is wear my bulletproof vest and bring Louise with me and keep Bertha on the side. I mean, what else can I do? Yep, just need proof. Hey, Sensei. So let me see where we can start here. Maybe we'll start with some of the articles that I bookmarked, and then we'll pull some of the videos that I have here. I think this will help tell the story here. Okay, the title of this article. Let me pull that off the screen there. Okay. Phoenix murder suspect sent photos of mutilated body to gay victim's family. We're talking about some pure evil here, guys. 3 suspects have been arrested in the killing of a Phoenix man whose friends and family allege was targeted because of his sexual orientation, authorities said. The body of Bernardo Pantaleon was found dead in a city park. Court records indicate he had been shot and later mutilated. So they shot him. The killer came back with one of his fellow gang members, brought him to the crime scene, and then they mutilated the body and took photographs and sent it to the family. He was 100% unrecognizable. Law enforcement asked the family, warned them not to view the body, and if they could have just one person identify. This is where Bernardo was found. Basically in the neighborhood there. And behind this park, there's some trails that go up into this hill right here, and he was found in this area. So there's a memorial out here for him now. And if we have time, we'll go out here and cover some of this case as well. The body of Bernardo, 30, was found dead in a city park. Court records indicated he had been shot and later mutilated. The suspects were arrested Saturday and are being held on bonds ranging from $500,000 to $2 million. One of the men is charged with first-degree murder, while the other 2 are facing conspiracy charges. Lawyers for the men did not immediately respond to emails seeking comment about the charges. Police said the suspect sent photos of Pantaleon's body to his family members. God, that's so sick. On November 26th, Pantaleon's body was found with significant trauma on a trail near Mountain View Park. CBS affiliate KPHO TV reported Pantaleon's family said he was found naked, beaten, brutally tortured. So bad detectives asked loved ones not to see him in that condition. Same thing happened to Ben Anderson. Exact same thing. Pantaleon's friends and family had said they believe he was the victim of a hate crime because he was gay and often wore glamorous clothing. Police investigators said the suspect, all in their early 20s, planned to rob Pantaleon and then kill him. Detectives said they reviewed social media messages between the three suspects in which they allegedly discussed and planned Pantaleon's killing. They actually have 4 suspects in custody now for his murder. Some made derogatory remarks regarding the victim's sexuality and derogatory statements about homosexuals not being allowed in Phoenix North Side, according to a probable cause statement. So I'm going to try to get my hands on the probable cause affidavit as well. Police said the suspects were interviewed and acknowledged the plan to kill Pantaleon. According to court paperwork, Santiago admitted to police that he killed Pantaleon after an unwanted advance made him uncomfortable. He ultimately shot the victim several times, killing him, leaving him and returning an hour later with his co-defendant Manuel Carrasco, and then mutilated the victim's body, said an attorney on behalf of the state. Pantaleon's family had launched a GoFundMe, which has raised over $5,600 as of Wednesday. The Pantaleon's death shares similarities to a high-profile unsolved murder of another gay man from Phoenix, Benjamin Anderson, who was murdered and tortured in January of 2022. While Phoenix police are investigating Pantaleon's murder, the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office is probing Anderson's murder and is aware of the similarities in both investigations continue, the station reported. Pitbull Mom, how you doing? Cindy, good to see you, Sensei. What up, Chopper? No effects, what's up? Not too late. Well, they were young men. I think at the time of Ben's murder, they would have been under the age of 18 or roughly, in their teens. So we're looking at young men, a group of young men. They look like teenagers. Okay, this article here is titled 3 Gay Men Murdered in Phoenix Within Months. Investigators looking into motivating factors. So you had 3 men killed within months, and I believe Ben may have been their first. That may have been the fledgling killing, is why they were driving around in the car, taking him all the way out to the desert, coming back and burning the vehicle. That may have been their first time, possibly. And here in Arizona, we don't have hate crimes. We have aggravated factors. There have been 3 murders of gay men in Phoenix over the last few months. Investigators are looking into a possible anti-LGBT sentiments as motivating factors. We do not have a crime called a hate crime in Arizona, Mitchell said. She said that judges can use aggravating factors. I just said that. To try and increase a sentence. A crime that's proven to be motivated by sexual orientation would be one of them. I'm very aware of these cases. In fact, I was in the community where one was committed this weekend and got to talk to some people. I understand they're horrified, they're fearful, as I am, she said. In August, Jake Kelly, a gay man, was found brutally attacked in his driveway near Cave Creek and Grover's Avenue. He died from his injuries. So I wasn't sure if we were going to include this case, but I mean, it happened not too far away, right? just on the other side of the mountain here, pretty much in the same neighborhood. The only difference is Jake Kelly, his roommates were involved. So his roommates had a friend, and I think they went out partying, and maybe Jake said something to him like, "Oh, you're a good-looking guy," and he took offense to it or something. And he beat him to death, and the roommates just left him out for 16 hours there, basically, dying. Nobody cared for him, nobody took him to the hospital, and his killer took photographs of his beaten body, which is very similar. You know, I don't know if this is like a trophy for the gang or I can't quite figure it out. You know, it's very terrifying. Phoenix police have not made an arrest, but Kelly's mother believes he was attacked for his sexual preferences. This was before the arrest, and we'll go into the suspect here in a minute. In March, Phoenix police said Osvaldo Hernandez Castillo was killed near 22nd Avenue and Mission Lane after allegedly engaging in sex with another man. In November, Bernardo Pantaleon was found dead near Mountain View Park at 7th Avenue and Cinnabar. 21-year-old Leonardo Santiago and 3 other alleged members of the Northside 15th Avenue gang were accused and arrested in Pantaleon's death. Court documents state there may be an anti-LGBTQ element involved. The suspect's group chat made derogatory remarks. So that's very interesting. I'd like to know where that group chat is. I don't know if that's on Facebook or what. Derogatory remarks regarding the victim's sexuality and derogatory statements about homosexuals not being allowed in the North Side. Santiago is now facing first-degree murder charges for Castillo's death, as well after investigators say they found incriminating footage on his cell phone. The county attorney says the death penalty could at some point be on the table. It would be very early on in the process for me to speculate about whether that's going to happen. If first-degree murder is charged, every case that involves first-degree murder that is committed by somebody who is 18 or older is run through a certain process, and I make the decision on it, Mitchell said. The county attorney did discuss the death penalty further in the press conference, saying she would like to start implementing it again. Yeah, in this case, they should. All right, let me do my best to keep up with the chat before I get ahead of myself here. Pure evil. Two good words that could describe it. Good to see you, Chopper. Hey, what's up, Stingy? Yes, they did find these killers. Let me pull up the suspects here. And I believe these will be the same men that killed Ben. And I believe the one right here in the middle right, I think he's the ringleader. And I wouldn't doubt it if he was a closeted homosexual, because some of these men were raped. So I think he keeps that a secret from the rest of the gang, and after he does it, he'll bring them over like, look what I did. Because in the case of Ben, his pants were pulled down. He was wearing fishnet stockings. He obviously thought he was going on some kind of a date, and it was new to him because although he was a gay man, he wasn't a cross-dresser, according to his friend Daniel. But for whatever reason, he was dressed like that the day he was found murdered. Now, I have a feeling that he was catfished and mocked by these individuals and convinced to dress in a certain way. But I guarantee one of these folks is closeted. And that's why they're doing what they're doing. I think that was the case for Garrett Kurtz too. I think he was a closet homosexual. Yep, I think these are gang members who are going around committing serial murders at the behest of a ringleader who is most likely a closeted homosexual himself. I think he keeps that part to himself, but that's the motivation. Some psychobabble bullshit, but that's what I think. That is true, Hiawatha. No hate crime, just aggravating factors. It should. Cindy, what the fuck? Caricature, good to see you. Hey, Sleuth. Not to brag, but I had a serial killer patient in the cath lab, 4 victims, 2 under 14. Thought of my girls, Abby and Libby. Death row to hospital shouldn't happen. I agree. Mustang, what's up? All right, I think I have a few more articles we'll go through. This will kind of serve as the overview on these cases. Help fill in the blanks for those of you. I'm still learning about these cases. I started this dive last night, and I was just shocked. I said I have to share this with the crew in the morning. I mean, this is just disgusting. Okay. This is the Kelly case. Very disturbing headline here. People allegedly snapped photos of beaten Phoenix man before he was taken to the hospital records show. Oh, looks like there's a weird delay going on. Hold on. Oh, it is what it is. Jake Kelly died on September 8th after he was brutally beaten in North Phoenix. Another North Phoenix man beaten because he was gay. His roommates allegedly waited 18 hours before taking him to the hospital records show. The suspects accused of being involved in Jake Kelly's death allegedly snapped photos of the Phoenix man as he suffered from severe injuries that would eventually kill him. Phoenix police announced last week they had arrested 34-year-old Angel Mullooly. So I haven't had a chance to dig into Angel Mullooly to see if he might be affiliated with this Northside gang, but I think it's a possibility. For allegedly killing Kelly on August 27th, Kelly's roommates, Corey Young and Shannon Young, have also been arrested for allegedly hindering prosecution during the investigation, and that is a felony. Court records recently obtained by 12 News reveal new details of the timeline leading up to the 49-year-old's death. Corey and Shannon told police the 3 roommates had gone to a party that night. After they all returned home and went to sleep, Shannon reported waking up to the sound of a loud noise and went outside to find Jake injured on the ground. Corey and Shannon said they then helped the wounded Jake back inside and put him in the bathtub. They claimed to have no knowledge of what happened to Jake and reported seeing no one else when they found Jake. But court records indicate there was much more to the story. A friend of the roommate told police that Shannon allegedly sent them a photo of Jake bleeding in the bathtub. When the friend asked what happened to him, they were told that Corey and I fucked him up. Investigators reviewed Angel Maluli's phone records and found messages he had sent the night that Jake was beaten. One message allegedly stated, "I've fucked up Jake 2 times, babe." So he sent it to his girlfriend. The message allegedly included a photo of bleeding Jake on the ground with Corey Young crouched down next to him and holding his head. A woman resembling Shannon is seen standing next to Corey in a photo records show. Shannon allegedly confirmed to investigators that she and Corey are the people seen in that photo and declined to say whether Angel snapped the picture. Another witness, they seem to be afraid of Angel. Why are they afraid of him? Is he a gang member? Did they leave the body outside for so long because they were afraid, to get involved? Corey and Shannon took Kelly to the hospital on August 28th at about 4:30 p.m., which would have been about 18 hours after the assault allegedly occurred. Kelly had sustained multiple skull, face, and rib fractures. When police initially investigated the victim's residence, they noted that Jake's phone and the shirt he was wearing during the assault were missing. What the fuck? After undergoing multiple surgeries, Kelly's family took him off life support and he died on September 8th. Very disturbing. Yeah, what the fuck? 18 hours. Imagine your roommates just leaving you to die and then taking photographs. Well, taking photographs with your roommate who's bleeding to death in a bathtub. Yeah, Don, this one may not be connected. I'm going to do some digging in this. I just find it very strange that it's so close and that they felt the need to take a photograph. I think there might be more there. So that's why we're going to start with this one. It's not near water. So here's the entire cluster here. Don't mind this one down here. This is just Ben's place of employment, and I'll be visiting that over the weekend just for documentation purposes. But they've already connected these two, Osvaldo Hernandez and Bernardo. These two are connected, and they're identical to Ben's crimes. Identical. Now, if you just hop over this mountain right here, you have Jake Kelly not far away. Now, the suspect in his murder is named Angel Maluli. And I'm going to look if he has any ties to this Northside gang. It's a very, you have like suburbs where Ben was living. And then just on the other side of the canal, you have very dangerous gang neighborhoods. Phoenix is filled with dangerous gangs. Could be. They were out partying. The only thing that caught my attention with this one, Don, was the photograph. Why would you do that? Why are you creating evidence of a murder? The only reason I can think of, you might do that privately as a trophy later, or to show a group of people what you had done. And I think this whole attacking gays is just an excuse to kill people. And there's probably something as far as the psychopathy of the ringleader that we can glean as to why it happened. They're always looking for an excuse, right? These serial killers. Prostitutes. Why prostitutes? And because they're drug addicted vermin. Remember, that's what Rifkin said. That's the lie he told himself. He convinced himself that he was doing the rest of the world a favor. Same with Gary Ridgway. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what they thought. All right, let's go to some of these videos. Let's start here.
On the investigation into the murder of a man whose dismembered body was found in a Phoenix park.
One of the suspects in that case has now been linked to a second murder that happened earlier this year.
Oh, this is one of the suspects. Take a look at your screen. 21-year-old Leonardo Santiago. He's one of 4 men charged with murdering Bernardo Pantaleon last month. It happened at Mountain View Park. Investigators say the victim was shot at the park, his body mutilated. They also say that the suspect sent photos of the dead body to the victim's family. In court documents, Santiago admitted to killing the victim because he made an unwanted advance. Detectives say...
See, that's bullshit. That was just his excuse. Hiawatha, you guys got to remember that YouTube, if you put certain key words, they'll delete it on their own. Or they just won't allow it. I don't know if it's being deleted or just not approved. So don't forget that.
The men
just rephrase your comment.
Have ties to gangs, made remarks about, quote, homosexuals not being allowed in the North Side.
And now detectives have linked Santiago to another murder that happened back in March near 23rd Avenue in Dunlap. The victim, 20-year-old Osvaldo Hernandez Castillo, was found shot to death inside of his car. In court paperwork, Santiago admitted to the shooting, saying he lured Castillo to the location over the promise of sex, but killed him in order to be recognized by his gang.
Okay, I believe that's exactly what happened to Ben Anderson. Let me rewind that so we can hear that again.
Admitted to the shooting, saying he lured Castillo to the location over the promise of sex, but killed him in order to be recognized by his gang. Santiago remains in jail on a $2 million.
Yet the part that he didn't tell his gang is that he actually slept with the men. Possibly. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, but I do see people often complain that that happens. And I've come to the understanding that YouTube is censoring some certain words.
Tonight with 2 horrific murders in the same Phoenix neighborhood this year. Both Bernardo Pantaleon and Osvaldo Hernandez Castillo were killed in the area of 15th and Peoria Avenues, and police say that it was at the hands of criminal street gang members. Good evening, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for 12 News at 10. I'm Caribe Devine.
I'm Rachel Cole in for Mark Curtis. Tonight, the 12 News I-Team is taking a closer look at the area in question and the gang that police say calls the neighborhood home.
I-Team reporter Bianca Bono has the story you'll only see on 12 News.
Guys, you won't hear us or police name the specific gang, as members are often looking to increase their notoriety. But we rode along with a retired gang detective to learn more about this gang and the challenges that come with monitoring it. It's after dark in the north central Phoenix neighborhood near 15th and Peoria Avenues.
We've been through chases through here.
Few know it better than the man riding in the front seat along with 12 News, a retired gang detective with the Phoenix Police Department.
When I first got to the gang unit in 2000, we were in this neighborhood a lot.
But in recent weeks, gang activity in the neighborhood has been back in the headlines in light of the murders of 2 men, Osvaldo Hernandez Castillo, killed back in March, and Bernardo Bernardo Pantaleon, killed last month. Pantaleon was found on a trail at Mountain View Park off 7th Avenue.
Your younger kids coming up in it, those are peewees. About
See, and these the younger kids in the gang, they're much more active. But these kids were about in their older teens, they're still going to be extremely active. And when Daniel was looking for Ben's car and he found them in that parking garage, that's what he reported seeing were a group of young people, older teenager young men.
the 10, 11, 12-year-old age. And then, yes, it starts that young.
The suspects in Bernardo and Osvaldo's murders, all 20 or
Jill.
21 years old.
They're the people that are usually the most active.
The 12 News I-team taking a closer look at 911 calls in the area that resulted in police action. From the I-17 freeway east to Central Avenue and Dunlap north to Peoria Avenue, this year alone, 2 documented homicides, Bernardo and Osvaldo. Phoenix data show 30 additional dead bodies reported without details about the circumstances.
Jesus.
In 2023, 911 calls show police
30 dead bodies in one block. Unsolved murders. 30 bodies right here. How many of these bodies were put there by these same people?
responded to at least 45 shots fired or shooting calls, more than 600 fight, assault, or aggravated assault calls, and over 1,200 reports of theft, burglary, or robbery, including from homes, businesses, and stolen vehicles. So far, 4 alleged gang members are facing charges in connection to Bernardo and Osvaldo's murders, including street gang charges.
In getting gang charges, what happens is there is extra punishment that gets added on. And then also too, by having those charges, the ability to pull in other individuals that supported whatever the crime was that occurred.
Additional enforcement that can help lead to the ultimate goal.
How challenging is it to actually break up a gang?
It depends on how active the gang is and how many individuals you have in the gang. The larger the gang and the more diverse their crimes are, that becomes more difficult to break that up.
In Phoenix, Bianca Bono, 12 News.
On the investigation into the murder of a man whose dismembered body was found in a Phoenix park.
One of the suspects in that case has now been linked to a second murder that happened earlier this year.
Oh, this is one of the suspects. Take a look at your screen. 21-year-old Leonardo Santiago. He's one of 4 men charged with murdering Bernardo Pantaleon last month. It happened at Mountain View Park. Investigators say the victim was shot at the park, his body mutilated. They also say that the suspect sent photos of the dead body to the victim's family. In court documents, Santiago admitted to killing the victim because he made an unwanted advance. Detectives say the men have ties to gangs, made remarks about, quote, homosexuals not being allowed in the North Side.
And now detectives have linked Santiago to another murder that happened back in March near 23rd Avenue in Dunlap. The victim, 20-year-old Osvaldo Hernandez.
Okay, so I'm almost 100% sure that this is what happened to Ben. So let's take a look here. Okay, here we go.
Case is now turning into a homicide investigation. Right now, there are still many unanswered questions surrounding the death of a 41-year-old man who went missing on New Year's Eve and whose body was later discovered in the desert. Good evening, everyone. I'm Caribe Divine.
And I'm Mark Curtis. The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office is investigating but has not released many details. Team 12's Colleen Sikora is here now with a timeline of what we do know.
You got it, Hiawatha.
The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office says it was a little after 1:40 in the afternoon on December 31st. They responded to reports of a body found in the desert off I-17 and Table Mesa Road. Days later, they'd confirm it was the body of Ben Anderson. But the mystery surrounding his disappearance and death starts with New Year's Eve plans.
Nothing was unusual.
Plans that
That's
friends say
Daniel.
Ben changed just an hour and a half before they were supposed to meet.
At 8 a.m., Ben called me and had canceled.
But as December 31st went on, Daniel Stahoviak says by 6:30 p.m., family and friends noticed Ben hadn't contacted them. So he went to Ben's home near 7th Street in Maryland.
His car was gone when I got there.
Daniel says cards and cash were left on the counter.
What struck me the most is that there was a wet towel on his bed. And Ben is very clean and tidy in his home. He would never do something like
You see that? It's like the little details like that that kind of paint the real picture. A wet towel. You know, some folks just would never do that. You know, when we were looking at Echo Lloyd's case, when they finally made entry into her home, they found that it was messy in there. Pizza boxes kind of thrown around on the floor, and their family said she would never ever keep her home like that. It's the little things that are important.
And Ben is very clean and tidy in his home. He would never do something like that.
By 7:30 that night, friends and family reported Ben missing and called Lexus to see if they could GPS track the car.
They could see the location, but they wouldn't release it to us.
Daniel says Phoenix police, who did have the GPS information, went to the Super 8 off the 17 south of Dunlap.
Police officers called us. The vehicle wasn't there, had already moved. We went to the Super 8, there was a carload of us, and looked, nothing there.
20 minutes into the new year, Daniel says they're now on the 4th floor of the garage at the Sheridan Phoenix Crescent.
There was this car, backed into a spot, 3 people around it. Ben wasn't with them.
Daniel says they followed them.
3 people. Hold on. I wonder if Ben has identified these folks here. I wonder if these are 3, if those 3 individuals are here in these photos. I would like to ask him.
They came back out, turned left, going the wrong way on the frontage road. Obviously, it's now becoming very dangerous, so we stop.
Calling 911, Daniel says Phoenix police came to try and find the car, but didn't have any luck. Hours of searching later,
Lexus then told us, after begging, that the vehicle was now offline.
around 4 a.m. New Year's Day, Daniel says they discovered the Lexus in the parking lot of UEI College,
His car was found here, destroyed, burnt.
leaving questions of what happened that led to Ben being found dead 30 miles away. Questions still unanswered. We asked Phoenix police and the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office for more details. They would not answer our question.
All right, let's look at where they found his vehicle. Okay, so Ben had plans for New Year's to go out with his buddies. For whatever reason, he broke his plans and began kind of acting in a way he was just acting different. They found him wearing fishnet stockings. He's not a cross-dresser. So Daniel said that was very strange. So it's almost as if he was being catfished and was trying to please somebody. You know, I'm going to please this person that I've been talking to online. We're going to meet up. We're going to have maybe some casual sex, whatever. We're going to have a date. And then I'll go meet my buddies later. You know, this person is insistent. Maybe this is the only time they can meet up. But for whatever reason, I think that it all started here at the home. And then he may have been kidnapped and taken away. But I just want to show you these other 2 crimes here. So Bernardo and Osvaldo, I mean, this is in walking distance. Look at that. He was found over here in the desert, mutilated, tortured. Crime was documented. Same in this case. Shot, brutalized. Crime was documented. Now, here is the crazy part. Look at where they found Ben's car burned. It's It's as if they parked it here, burned it, and walked through this field. Back to a north side neighborhood. It's where they found Osvaldo. I mean, I'm glad they caught these guys. I'm almost certain these are the people that killed Ben. So the plot thickens, guys. This was going to be a short live stream, but we'll remain another 10, 15 minutes just for purposes of discussion. Let me know what you guys think. They played this at Ben's funeral. We'll kind of close out with this in the chat as well. Thank you, Mustang. These are photographs of Ben. It's a nice car, V. Hey, Brad, from outside of the grid. Good to see you, Brad. I agree, V. Thank you. No scrubs today. I appreciate it. Yeah, this is beyond sad. You have a group of people, and I'm glad that they're in custody right now because, I mean, there was no stopping. It's just sad that they were able to accomplish this much destruction. Yeah, and when you're single, like a single person, you do a lot of random like rendezvous and one night stands and meet new people and like, hey, this didn't work out. Go out with a group of people or just go out on a random date. There's no reason that you should be murdered. I mean, this is exactly what happened to Ray Hainish. Garrett Kurtz. I think he catfished him on an app called Grindr. Went to his home, killed him, and I think he even threw like a party or something in his house. Yeah, and these are some of the places that I'll be visiting. I think I'm going out Sunday. This will probably be my best video that I'm going to put together will be on Ben. It'll be the first time I've really mapped it out. You know, we have the drone now, so we can get incredible footage. I can fly it right into the parking garage. I don't need to go in there. We'll just take the drone into the parking garage. We'll go into the desert. We'll see where they found his body. Now it makes sense because the location where they found Ben is where all these gangsters will go to shoot their guns. You know, normal folk will go out onto the BLM property where it's legal. But the location where they found him is basically where folks from the city would end up going to shoot off their guns and target practice and things like that. Hold on a second. I thought I had. I could have swore I had the dash cam or the body cam of where they when they went and found him. It's very disturbing. Let me see if I have that. Oh, here it is. Viewer discretion is advised here. It's blurred out, but it's still very disturbing. Now, I think a gentleman was going out here to do some target practice or something like that, and he saw the smoke coming up out of this little ravine here, and he thought it was a mannequin. This is the first responding officer. So you can tell here they pushed him off of this edge here. Probably walked it down. Maybe just siphoned some gas out of the vehicle. And only burned his face. So they were trying to keep investigators from identifying the body.
Adam, 430 Bravo 536. Fire department's calling in, advising that you can 1022. They're transporting the subject.
Huh?
Nobody deserves to go that way. So we'll see what we can dig up over the weekend, if we can tie Ben's death to these other murders. Right now, I'm trying to schedule a sit down with the lead investigator. I haven't gotten a call back yet, so I don't have a name and I don't have an email. So hopefully I can get in contact with these folks before I go out there, and we can sit down with Ben's best friend and maybe some of his family, and we'll try to get some interviews too, and try to really tell this story. It is horrific. I agree, Don. And this is why we do what we do. How do we see it coming? How do we prepare for it? How can we be proactive? How can we protect our friends, our family? It's hard. I mean, I still don't have those answers yet. All I'm doing right now is just educating myself on the enemies that we have and that we live with, and hopefully that'll keep my family safe. All right, guys. If you have anything to add to this, please let me know. Replay crew, tell me what you think about these cases, if they're all connected. If you think Ben's case is connected. If you want to do some digging, shoot me an email if you have any information on these cases that might help with the documentary we're going to put together here over the weekend. And we might have to make multiple trips out here because the story is getting bigger and bigger the more we dig. But I believe that they do have his killers in custody, and I think we're going to be able to tie him to this group that's responsible for the other two. Not sure about the fourth case, like Don said. I'm going to look into the suspect, see if he has any ties to any North Side gangs or anything that might explain why they were taking photographs of the body, and might also explain why he was targeted. And also, we will be live again probably in the next 3 to 4 hours. So I'll see you guys again a little bit later today. Take care of yourselves.